Hi,
Hi,
what's your name?
Natasha.
How old are you, Natasha?
10 years old.
Um, you were the one who discovered the body of Rebecca.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Can you describe us the scene?
Okay. It was late. I received an emergency call. I don't know from who, but I went to Jennifer's home, and when I opened the door, I started looking for her, but she didn't answer. And I went to the kitchen, and I found her in the floor with a lot of blood in her hand. The floor. And I started crying and screaming. And then the police came.
Okay, I see. How was your relationship with her?
Oh, she was my best friend. I love her.
And what do you have in your hand? I can see a scratch. Something. Are you sure? Do you want to see a doctor?
Maybe.
It seems like you can get
Maybe it
infected.
was my cat.
A cat. Do you have a cat?
Yes.
What's his name?
Fluffy.
Fluffy. Oh, well. Okay, you can go now. Thank you. Hi.
Hi,
What's your name and how old are you?
my name is Diego and I'm 19 years old.
Can you describe your relationship with Rebecca, please?
Rebecca used to be my partner in the laboratory.
Well, thank you, that's all. Bye. Hi,
Hi.
what's your name?
My name is Alicia. Let's leave it like that.
Alicia, we're in Noria.
I hate being called murder. You know, I think there's no worse name my parents could have found. But yes, I'm Nuria. I'm 18 years old, so I'm actually legal to determine I want to be called Alicia.
Okay, Alicia, can you describe us your relationship with Rebecca, please?
Erica is kind of one of my friends. We could stay and hang out sometimes, and there's nothing more about it. I mean, a lot of things. Well, sometimes, most of the time, I guess. I don't really like her. She's just that girl that hears my problems, and I hate how she spends the whole day with my boyfriend, you know.
Do you know Natasha?
I do.
And how can you describe her, please?
Well, she's Rebecca's best friend. They're always together, so she listens to my problems too. She's not a good laboratory, but I think she also likes my boyfriend. Well, they all do, as long as he's my boyfriend. Because of his status, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Now leave now.
Yeah?
Might take some coffee.
Yes, sure, it's free.
That's the least you have to do when you keep me all morning here. will be good for you. Easy.
What did you get?
Cherry flavor. Giving to you.
That's not the tea.
Now you're paying, Rebecca.
Thank you. We have finally reached the end of the investigation. We determined Natasha Jones as the one and only culprit of murder of Rebecca Bigman. I will answer all your questions one by one. Yes?
How did you know that Natasha Jones was the culprit?
Well, this was an easy case. We determined that with a blood typing test. And since everyone's blood typing was different, we could determine very easily who has the blood that was underneath the nails of Rebecca. Yes?
But how can you be so sure? What if there was a match between two or more suspects' blood type?
Well, that's not the case. We would have done a DNA profiling test. That's a little more complicated, but we have made a video for you to understand very easily what is the test all about. Thank you. That's all.
Blood typing is a virtually simple test, an easy procedure that depends on huge background. The type of blood depends on the presence of either of alleles of a gene that code for specific carbohydrates. The gene is located in chromosome X. The first allele, A, codes for carbohydrate type A. The second, B, codes for B, and O does not code for any. A and B are dominant to O and codominant to each other, what means that in a combination of either and O, the individual will express A or B, while in a combination of both of them, both genes will be expressed.
Blood type is then determined by the type of carbohydrate. If someone has carbohydrate A, then blood type is A. Carbohydrate B is B, and both is blood type AB. The lack of both of them results in blood type O. There is also another antigen present in the blood, D, which determines the Rh, positive or negative.
The test uses the reaction between the carbohydrates in the blood and its respective antibodies. The solution added to the blood contains the antibody. Then, it contains the carbohydrate it will cluster, resulting in a positive result. For example, an A positive, like in the video, blood forms clustered in A, AB, and D, while an O negative will not cluster on any because it does not contain any antigen.
Identification of suspects and individuals in general has become possible thanks to the technology of DNA profiling. It is based on the different alleles of DNA polymorphism, called STR, which mean short tandem repeats. These are usually in the non-coding regions of the genome, and are made of short sequences, about 4 to 8 bases, that repeat a variable number of times. Codes, the UA system uses certain STRs.
The technique starts, if necessary, performing PCR to increase the amount of available DNA to study. Then, using restriction enzymes, we cut the desired regions of the chromosome. The next step is gel electrophoresis, where the pieces of DNA are separated by their size. The size of an STR depends on the number of repeats it has. Finally, the profile of a person is based on the size of each of his STRs has. In other words, the allele he or she has inherited. When there is biological material on a scene, there is a DNA profiling from it and from the suspects. Then, both profiles are compared to determine whether they belong to the same person or not.
Thank you. We have finally reached the end of the investigation. We determined Natasha Jones as the one and only culprit of murder of Rebecca Bigman. I will answer all your questions one by one. Yes?
How did you know that Natasha Jones was the culprit?
Well, this was an easy case. We determined that with a blood typing test. And since everyone's blood typing was different, we could determine very easily who was the blood that was underneath the nails of Rebecca. Yes?
But how can you be so sure? What if there was a match between 2 or more suspects' blood type?
Well, that's not the case. We would have done a DNA profiling test. That's a little more complicated, but we have made a video for you to understand very easily what is the test all about. Thank you. That's all.